NDP Premier, when asked about her government's faster coal phase-out, instead referred to the policy before she made things worse for Alberta coal communities. At a press conference, the NDP blamed low oil prices and the struggling economy for their absolute failure to create jobs. They continue to point the finger at everyone but themselves.
Right.
Alberta's coal communities know better. The Premier admitted yesterday in this House to not talking to communities and to hiding the Boston report from them and the families whose livelihoods hang in the balance.
Agreed.
To the Premier, will you now hit the brakes on your accelerated plan and stick to the federal timeline for coal phase-out and stop killing Alberta jobs?
Please do that.
Honourable Premier.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to certainly correct one thing that was part of the member's question yesterday. I have indicated, or I have been advised, that the Minister's office has been in regular contact with all the affected mayors that were referenced in the previous question. So might want to check your facts on that one. But that being said, Mr. Speaker, we are working diligently to work with both the coal companies as well as the coal communities to put together both a package so that we're not leaving capital stranded, and in the meantime to work on a just transition, something that is long overdue in this province.
Thank you, Honourable Premier. First supplemental.
Well, the Premier's call to the Marihan is like that unicorn. Just didn't happen, Mr. Speaker. Only one member of the advisory panel on coal communities is from Alberta. The lawyer hired for the PPAs is from British Columbia.
No kidding.
Since the government doesn't know any good Alberta lawyers for the job and can only find one qualified Alberta coal expert to get advice from, including the people in the communities your policy will kill, this shows your disdain for the skills and abilities of Alberta.
Agreed.
Mr. Speaker, to the Premier, with so little faith in the knowledge and skills of Albertans, how can you possibly be trusted to defend their interests?
Good question.
Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Generally speaking, as we move forward on these projects, what we do is we look for people who have experience with the same kind of matters that are being dealt with. Now, it is true, we have not ever in Alberta phased out coal. Quite the opposite. In Alberta, 60%, or in Canada, 60% of the emissions or the electricity. Anyway, where was it? We burn 60% of the coal for all of Canada because these folks could never get it together to find a way to move towards a more renewable, more sustainable energy sector. So what we need to do is look outwards for people who have dealt with this.
Thank you, Honourable Premier. Second supplemental.
There you have it. The Premier just said the qualified people in Alberta like the unicorn, they don't exist. We just heard it. We know coal jobs are the long-term mortgage-paying jobs for Albertan families. We know oil and gas jobs pay the mortgage for Alberta families. Mr. Speaker, we know installations of windmills and solar panels are short-term construction jobs with few long-term mortgage jobs attached to them after the fact. Since the NDP worldview hampers or eliminates the industries with jobs paying Alberta mortgages today, please, Premier, on what basis do you call your so-called jobs plan just that?
Thank you, Honourable Member. Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Premier.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, as the member outlined previously, and as he knows from information that's been provided in this House, in fact, our jobs plan is creating jobs. And we are working very carefully on it, and we will continue to work on it, Mr. Speaker. You can't create jobs by cutting billions from operating expenses. You can't create jobs by cutting $9 billion from capital. You need to work with businesses. You need to invest in the people of Alberta. You need to provide stability when otherwise there is instability as a result of international economic conditions. That is what we are doing, Mr. Speaker, and we will keep doing it.